Now we're going to do something called rationalizing the denominator. All that really means is we want to make sure we never have a radical in the denominator of a fraction. Right now I'm just going to simplify some fractions that have radicals. If you remember, we've got the square root of a fraction. We can break that up into the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator. We know the square root of 1 is 1, square root of 25 is 5, and that is our simplified version of the square root of 1 over 25. We can do the same idea in number 7. We still have this 3 out front. Then we've got root 11 over root 81. But we know the square root of 81 is 9. And then we can simplify these integers. 3 over 9 reduces to 1 over 3. So we're left with root 11, 1 root 11 over 3. Now, here's where we're talking about having a radical in the denominator. In order to get it out of there, I'm going to multiply by what we call a fancy 1. If you think about it, the square root of 6 over the square root of 6 is 1. And 1 times any number is just that number. So if I multiply this fraction by our fancy 1, I'm still just keeping the same idea of that number. So in this case, my fancy 1 is based on whatever that radical on the bottom is. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by root 6. And when we multiply fractions, we just multiply straight across. So now we have 7 root 6 in our numerator, and then root 6 times root 6 is just 6. And that's as simplified as that gets. Same idea for 9. Our fancy 1 here is going to be root 2 over root 2, because our denominator was root 2. And when we multiply straight across, we have 12 root 2 over 2, and then 12 divided by 2 gives us 6, keep that root 2. When we are dividing, we can only divide integers with integers and radicals with radicals. We can't do a radical 2 divided by 2 and make it root 1. That's not how that works. We can only simplify the integers with the integers, and maybe if there was a root 2 on the bottom here, then we could combine it with that root 2 on top. But there's no radical on the bottom, so there's nothing to combine.